Ultimately, it kills your dollar and it kills everything the dollar represents, and we have to continue to have that be the world currency. I think it's important. I think it would be losing a war. If we lost the dollar as the world currency, I think that would be the equivalent of losing a war.
Imagine waking up one morning to find out that the value of the dollar in your wallet is intentionally being reduced. Yes, the same dollar you rely on for groceries, bills, and savings. It might sound counterintuitive or even alarming, but this is exactly what former President Donald Trump is proposing for 2025 if he's re-elected. The big question on everyone's mind is, why would he want to devalue the dollar? What's the strategy behind it? And most importantly, how could it impact you, your savings, and the global economy? Buckle up as we dive into the motives, the potential consequences, and what you need to know about Trump's latest controversial economic proposal. What does devaluing the dollar mean? Before we dive into the why, let's break down the what. Devaluing the dollar means deliberately lowering its purchasing power relative to other currencies. In simpler terms, $1 would buy you less than it does today, whether that's in groceries, foreign goods, or even travel abroad. Devaluation typically happens when a government wants to make its exports cheaper and more competitive on the global market. But it's a high-stakes strategy that can also lead to inflation, higher import costs, and shaken consumer confidence. Now that we understand what it means, let's examine why Trump is advocating for this bold move. Why does Trump want to devalue the dollar? Trump's stance on the dollar isn't new. During his presidency, he often criticized the Federal Reserve for keeping the dollar too strong, arguing that it hurt US exports and gave foreign countries an unfair trade advantage. So what's his game plan for 2025? 1. Boosting exports. Trump's key argument is that a weaker dollar would make US goods cheaper for foreign buyers. This could drive up demand for American-made products, helping domestic manufacturers and farmers compete globally. In theory, this would reduce the trade deficit, which has long been one of his major economic concerns. 2. Countering currency manipulation. Trump has often accused countries like China of devaluing their currencies to gain an edge in global trade. By devaluing the dollar, he aims to level the playing field and put pressure on these nations to stop manipulating their currencies. 3. Stimulating economic growth. Trump's advisors argue that a weaker dollar could attract foreign investment and stimulate the US economy. More exports and increased domestic manufacturing could create jobs and potentially boost GDP growth. The potential risks of devaluing the dollar. While Trump's plan has its supporters, many economists warn that devaluing the dollar comes with significant risks. Let's break them down. 1. Inflation. Devaluation makes imports more expensive. This means higher prices for everyday goods like electronics, clothing, and even food, much of which is imported. For the average American, this could result in a higher cost of living. 2. Eroding savings. A weaker dollar also reduces the value of savings and investments. If you're holding cash or fixed income assets like bonds, their purchasing power could decline, leaving you with less real wealth over time. 3. Global fallout. The dollar is the world's primary reserve currency, meaning it's used in international trade and held by central banks globally. Devaluing the dollar could shake confidence in its stability, potentially causing turmoil in global markets and weakening America's economic leadership. How would Trump execute this plan? Devaluing the dollar isn't something the president can do single-handedly. It would require coordination with the Federal Reserve, which operates independently of the executive branch. Trump could push for policies like quantitative easing, printing more money, or direct market interventions to weaken the dollar. However, these measures would likely face resistance from the Fed and financial markets, making the plan difficult to implement. What does this mean for you? If Trump's plan were to move forward, how would it impact your daily life? Here's what you might experience. Higher prices. Expect to pay more for imported goods and services, from cars to smartphones to vacation flights abroad. Investment volatility. Stock markets could experience significant swings as investors react to currency instability. uncertainty in savings. Holding onto cash or dollar-denominated assets could become riskier, pushing more people to seek alternative investments like gold or cryptocurrencies. What's next? As we inch closer to the 2024 election, Trump's proposal to devalue the dollar is sure to become a hot topic in debates and discussions. His supporters will argue that it's a bold strategy to revive American manufacturing and reduce the trade deficit. Critics, however, will emphasize the potential risks to consumers, investors, and the global economy. Devaluing the dollar is a controversial move that carries both potential benefits and significant risks. Whether Trump's plan is a masterstroke or a gamble will depend on how it's executed and how global markets respond. As we conclude this discussion, let's take a moment to reflect on what this means for you, the American people, and the global economy. The bigger picture. Trump's plan to devalue the dollar isn't happening in a vacuum. It's part of a broader economic vision. By focusing on manufacturing, exports, and America First policies, he's aiming to address what he sees as long-standing imbalances in global trade. However, the risks cannot be overstated. For ordinary citizens, the immediate effects could be higher prices and reduced purchasing power. For businesses, it could mean navigating volatile markets and adjusting to shifting trade dynamics. And for global economies, it could trigger a ripple effect of uncertainty, especially for countries that rely on a stable dollar as their foundation. What you can do to prepare. Whether or not this plan comes to fruition, it's always wise to be prepared for potential economic shifts. Here are a few steps to consider. 1. Diversify your investments. Avoid putting all your financial eggs in one basket. Consider spreading your investments across different asset classes, including stocks, bonds, real estate, and even alternative assets like gold or cryptocurrencies. 2. Stay informed. Economic policies can change quickly, and being informed is your best defense. Keep up with reliable news sources, financial updates, and expert analyses to stay ahead of the curve. 3rd, plan for inflation. If the dollar is devalued, inflation is a likely consequence. Make sure your budget accounts for potential price increases in essentials like food, fuel, and housing. The conversation about America's economic future is far from over. Stay tuned for more updates, and as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay ready for what's next. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about the dollar, it's about what it means for all of us. For now, one thing is certain. This proposal has reignited a critical conversation about America's economic strategy and its role in the global financial system. Thank you for joining us in unpacking this critical issue. Stay tuned for more insights on the latest political and economic developments. And as always, stay informed, stay engaged, and stay prepared for what's ahead. The future of the dollar and your wallet may depend on it.